Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the Macallan Classic Cut Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskies and review specifically the 2022. This is a round to it whiskey, which means I bought it a while back, stuck it on my shelf, and then I'm finally getting around to it. So this bottle was selling for over $200 in California. I was on travel, was in Virginia, picked it up for 130 bucks. It has come back down to that price now in California, and generally you can find these for about 130 bucks. Or the new release, the 2024, is going for like about 165 bucks. So, different people have different perspectives on the Macallan distillery. I was able to visit the distillery in June 2018, about 2 weeks after the new distillery opened, and I really enjoyed the tour. It is very high-tech, it is very touristy, it is very Disneyland-like. I didn't mind that. I thought it had some educational benefits to it. I just enjoyed the tour. So there are different perspectives on Macallan whiskey. There are those who are big Macallan fans, Macallan collectors. They join Macallan groups on Facebook. I think generally speaking, the Macallan fanatics are not probably a part of the bigger whiskey crowd, at least not probably who maybe don't watch whiskey tuber channels. They are just really into Macallan. There are some who, they don't like the marketing, they don't like the gimmicking, they don't like the advertisements, they don't like the price, they think Macallan isn't as good as it used to be, yada yada yada. These are the I will never buy a bottle of Macallan people. I will never talk about Macallan, and if the word Macallan is said, they're gonna just respond with a lot of anger and and I'm sure I'll get plenty of those comments down below. Then there are people, I think includes myself, includes Scott Bruno over at the Scotch Systemies. They go, you know what? I like Macallan. I was introduced to Scotch whiskey with the Macallan 12-year-old back in 2016. That's what kicked off my journey. However, with a lot of those who complain about the advertising and the marketing and all that, I agree with you. I agree with it. So I'm not a total Macallan fanatic. I don't have a huge Macallan collection. I did visit the distillery. Maybe one of these days I get back to Scotland, maybe a fifth time, maybe I'll revisit the distillery. I like the whiskey. I have the same complaints in terms of the cost and the price, typically what Macallan goes for. So I'm sort of in the middle between the fanatics and the people who say, I will never drink Macallan. Now, if you're not familiar with Macallan, what I want to recommend is, in terms of all the various bottles that are out there, if you're going to buy just one Macallan, I'm going to say buy the best of the core range that's available, which is going to typically be the Classic Cut, because it's going to be at a higher ABV, I think a higher quality. And if you get them on early release, you're going to save a few bucks, because the collectors, those who are the Macallan fanatics, are going to go bonkers on it, and the prices are going to go up and up and up. The first Classic Cut I had was the 2017, and I think some of those are going now for over $1,000, which is bonkers. I would never pay that much. I still have about a half a bottle of the 2020, which I really like. Now, in terms of the marketing and the advertising, I think I could bring my sense of what I think marketing and advertising should be, make it a little more classy, something that is more of the essence of what an advertisement should be. Let me know what you think. Okay, seriously, I don't think I'm going to get a call from Edrington or Macallan Distillery to work in their marketing department. But yeah, the advertisements, the marketing are so over the top. I like to take their commercials and advertisements and do something a little bit goofy with it. So let me tell you a little bit about this 2022 bottle, and then I'll get into it. The Macallan Classic Cut Highland Single Malt Scotch Whisky, vintage 2022, was matured in American bourbon barrels, American first fill sherry barrels, and European oak sherry casks. It's bottled at 52.5% alcohol by volume, has no added color, it is non-chill filtered, and sells for about $130 in my neighborhood. So usually when you're thinking Macallan Distillery, you're thinking sherry casks, you're thinking those sherry seasoned casks, as they like to say. But the 2022, as you saw there in the notes, has both bourbon and sherry casks. You can really dial in between bourbon and sherry casks so that you have just a touch of a sherry note, or it's really heavy on the sherry, practically a sherry bomb, and just a little bit of balancing it out with a little bit of bourbon. So you can go a huge range there. This one is leaning a little bit more on the bourbon cask, which I think is unusual for Macallan. They're typically known for having the heavier sherry notes. So on the nose, I get a lot of citrus, get orange peel. If you have mostly just old roaster sherry cask, you're going to go into the darker fruits, figs, dates, and raisins. This goes more in citrus. I'm getting orange peel, lemon, a distinctive maltiness, definitely some honey, vanilla. Again, a lot of heavier dose of vanilla coming from the bourbon casks. And then you get into raisins, sultanas, and a lot of spice. Definitely a lot of cinnamon on the palate. It's sweet up front, remains sweet all the way through. A little bit of that maltiness show up on the back end. It has a nice, sweet, malty, and spicy finish. It's really glossy or silky or smooth. It has a decent viscosity in terms of thickness on the palate and mouth coating feel. I like the transitions. This is a whiskey sometimes I'm just going to be in the mood for. What I like about this is I don't need to add any water. I don't need to bring the ABV down. You can put water on it if you like. I don't find any improvement on it with that little bit of water. It'll take a rock, it'll take an ice cube and hold up just fine if you want to cool it down. But it is good to go right as it is. There's something distinctive about Macallan that I like, and a Macallan character to it that's distinctive about this distillery, and that's hard for me to pin it down as to exactly what that is. And maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia going on there since Macallan was my first love, but this is an absolutely delicious whiskey. This is a whiskey, particularly on the new releases, that's going for an insane amount of money. I think most people who like Macallan, who say, yes, I like the whiskey, it is good. It's the prices that tend to just tick us off. The very first Macallan that I bought, Macallan Classic I bought was the 2017, and it was like $90. The fact that these are in $130, and if you can still find these, by the way, for $130, and that the newer releases, 23 and 24, that I was just at a local shop, and they had the 23 and 24. The 2023 was selling for $135, and the 2024, I think it was around $165. Now, those may actually be better vintages. They may be better bottlings. Maybe they're worth the extra 10, 20, $30, whatever it is. But I said no. I considered buying it. I said no. Well, I think I will always have, or seek to have, a bottle of the Classic Cut on my shelf because sometimes I'm in the mood for it, and that's what I'm going to reach for. If you're going to have just one Macallan on your shelf, I think this is what I'm going to go for. Or, you can get some of the 12 double casks for like, I don't know, 70, $80, something like that. Probably closer to 80, maybe 80, $90. I did a review one already, and The quality price ratio, I'm struggling even with that one. But the ABV is lower. You know, you're looking at 43% alcohol by volume. So, would I recommend this? If you don't have a Macallan on the shelf and you want to sort of fill out your collection and you're looking to buy a Macallan, what should you get? I would say get a classic cut. Number two, if you like Macallan, period, get a classic cut. If you can get a 2022 for $130 range, as this one's still going for, I would say grab it. Would I go for the 2024 that's going for 165 bucks? Me personally, probably not. Probably not, but I suspect, I'm not a prognosticator, I have no visions of the future, what's coming down the pike. But I'll tell you right now, in California, there is a wine glut. They are pulling out vines. There's too much planted out there. They're pulling. The sales cannot keep up with the amount that they're producing. I think going into 2025 and 2026, we are going to see a whiskey lock. I think we're going to see a whiskey lock. I did a whole series on Scotch whiskey business, Scotch whiskey production, and Scotch whiskey history. And if you watch my series on history, there's these periods of booms and busts. Most of the things that cause a bust or cause a boom, there are things that happen within the industry, and there are things that happen outside the industry that affect the whiskey business. Those things that happen within the industry is when people are doing crooked things, they're doing stupid things, they're doing too much production, they're using crappy casks, and all that kind of thing. That's what killed Campbelltown, right? When they used to have 31 distilleries, brought them all the way down to currently 3, although there's 3 more now that are being built. But that's what killed the lowlands. It was a higher focus on quantity rather than quality. We're not seeing that with distilleries now. We're seeing a focus, an emphasis on quality over quantity. But I still think at this rate and the way things are going, particularly regarding world economics and our world situation, that we're going to hit an economic bust. People are not going to be able to afford to buy the whiskeys they once did. And I'm not the only one saying this. I heard Ralphie say something very similar to this. So in paying attention to world history, world events, world news, what's going on in other parts of the alcoholic adult beverage industry, I think we're going to have a bit of at least a dip. Maybe not a total whiskey lock, but at least maybe a dip. And I hope I'm wrong, you know. I hope we turn things around. But I think we're going to see a dip, and I think we're going to see prices are going to have to come down. They're going to have to do something because I don't think the consumer is going to be there. I have no need to buy a ton of more whiskeys. I've got plenty here to drink. I won't live long enough to drink all this stuff. So what would I give this in terms of a score? I'll give it a score. I'll give it a solid 88 points. 88 points. What would I want to get it up above 90? Something more in the mid-palate, something a little more in the transitions. It's pretty much the same front, middle, finish, although it does have a nice spicy finish. It has plenty of oomph. It has plenty of flavor. I like the mouthfeel and texture on that. I think it's absolutely fantastic, but I want something a little bit more in the mid-palate. What's going to get that, what I'm looking for? Age and maybe a better emphasis on the sherry cask. Age and a better emphasis on the sherry cask. I think that would get it up above 90 points. I think it's leaning too much onto the bourbon cask, particularly when you're thinking Macallan and what are they known for and what are you typically going to look for in Macallan. Alrighty, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've not yet subscribed, and ask that you do. And if you've already have subscribed, thank you very much. If you have any comments, you have any questions, you have any feedback, hey, and if you're there at the Macallan Distillery and looking for someone to work in your marketing department, give me a call, give me a ring, send me an email. Maybe I can help you out. All right, until next time, Slanja. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and check out these other whiskey videos.